Hello and welcome to the fourth ever episode of the Moviebusters podcast. This week we didn't give you a choice in the polls, but we're bringing on our own choices. This week is my choice, which is Ghost World, directed by Terry Zwigoff, starring Thora Birch, Scarlett Johansson and Steve Buscemi.
The ever so lovable Steve Buscemi.
Second feature on a podcast.
Yeah,
so
actually, yeah.
Is it? Oh, yeah, because he was in The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, very interesting. It's very different. It's very similar. I was going to say a different role, but it's kind of a similar role, isn't it? Considering
I don't think so, really.
I think that's the closest you get to Steve Buscemi in a role.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue, Rob.
Yeah, Rob. Yeah. Because you look at Steve Buscemi and you look at him in like Fargo or something like that, it's completely different. So
I disagree. Can we just go back to that? You say that this is the closest you'll get to Steve Buscemi. Armageddon. Continue, Rob.
Okay. What do you have to say about that, Jack?
When he plays a child eating...
What?
Oh, that's
Did
Con
you
Air.
watch the same Armageddon as I have?
That's Con Air.
I think this guy's been watching the XXX
Have you ever
ones.
seen Con Air? He plays a cannibal, child-eating cannibal in that film.
That sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking Armageddon, the one where like he's a driller and
one.
he's like where they find him, they're like recruiting him. He's in a bar and he's like he's got like that woman's engagement ring and he's going like, oh, that's a nice carrot.
No, I think this is closer than that. No, Armageddon.
Oh, mate.
Either way, Ghost World, for those who haven't seen it and those who need to see it, if you want to like get involved with this podcast, I strongly recommend it. Myself, Dave might not do, but we'll get into that later. Ghost World follows two girls, Scarlett Johansson and Thora Birch, who've just graduated from high school and very, very cynical, very warped kind of view on the world, and they take enjoyment out of like mocking creeps and kind of weirdos, as they call them in the film.
They're on the cusp of their new life, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they don't really know which direction to go in, just as yet.
This kind of fascination with Steve Buscemi's character as well, and then kind of developing Thora Birch's character, Enid, and her falling in love with him. And yeah, so let's get into it. What did you think of the film?
First, I mean, I would like to know why you chose this film, because getting onto our opinion, mine and Dave's opinion later.
Hello.
Yeah.
Not to spoil, anything, but ours are a little bit different to your opinion of the film. I just wanted to know why you picked this film.
I wouldn't honestly say it's one of my favourite films. I'd say it's definitely up there though. It's probably my favorite. It's probably I'd rate it on like the same level as I rated Big Lebowski. Yeah, personally. I know that's a very bold claim.
Really?
Wow.
That is a bold claim.
I'm not saying it's a masterpiece, but like I'm not saying Big Lebowski is a masterpiece either, personally.
That is a bold claim.
That is a bold statement. Didn't like Predator. I'd like to bring this up.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, didn't like
It's a
Predator.
very different film to Predator, though.
But then to put it in the same frame as the Big Lebowski and say it's on par.
I'm saying it's on par in my opinion of films.
You like quirky films, or don't you?
It's my kind of film. It's my kind of film.
So when did you first watch it? Then?
I first watched this last year, actually.
Oh wow! So it's not even a childhood film.
No, watched it last year. It came on Netflix and watched it on Netflix on the streaming service there. And yeah, first because I watched it because Scarlett Johansson was in it, and it was one of her very one of the early films. She was 16 in this film, which you were both very surprised by.
Yeah, she looks about 20 in this film.
She shouldn't look that young.
Because she's 31 now.
Is she? She's only 31. I thought she was.
This was 15 years ago.
She don't look a day over 20, Scarlett.
Yeah, she is. This film's, what is it?
2001.
2001. God, it's been around a long time, this film.
Yeah, Thora Birch 19 as well, so very young. But they are graduating from high school, so it's fair enough. Scarlett Johansson doesn't look 16 in the film whatsoever.
I don't think Thora Birch looks 16 in this film.
No, she doesn't. No.
I think she looks younger than she did in American Beauty.
Yeah.
Is this Scarlett Johansson's first film?
I'm not completely sure,
it's
actually.
No, it's not.
She was in Home Alone 3.
Yeah, she plays one of Kevin McAllister's sisters in an
one of the main
sequel.
Was it like one of the big first roles though?
Well, she lost out to the role of in Jumanji against Kirsten Dunst.
Oh, okay. Right.
And she was in another film where she played. She's quite young in it. It escapes me, but
Fall.
The Fall.
No, Fall. She plays a little girl on it.
No.
Okay.
Well, me and Dave watched it on DVD, so there's nothing we would talk about. To be honest, well, it didn't. I mean, it does show its age now. Actually, to be fair, it doesn't.
It shows its age, but it keeps up as well at the same time.
I think it's just the intro where she lives. The introduction, like that, was like that. Just felt like it was in the 90s. But I didn't think it. I like it. I'm quite surprised it's 2001 because it doesn't really feel like 2001.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
it just feels like
it does feel very 90s, doesn't it?
Yeah, very 90s.
What I would say, this Thora Birch. She's well known for American Beauty, obviously, and for this film. But outside of that, there's nothing else she's really done.
Yeah.
And this was kind of her last kind of major film, and she was 19 when she was in this.
Did she go down any? Usually these sort of actors go into music or fashion, don't they?
It's neither of those, actually. Quite an interesting fact. Both her parents were porn stars.
Oh wow!
So they both starred in the film Deep Throat in 1970s.
Oh wow, with Linda Lovelace.
Yeah.
Okay.
And basically, her father was, let's say, a bit hands-on.
Bloody hell.
With
Thora Birch.
Okay.
He was her manager.
This is getting a bit.
Basically, she's been fired from multiple films since because of her father's influence in wanting her to, or getting very hands-on with some love scenes in films. There was one particular film where he himself tried to direct the sex scene his daughter was in.
Oh, that's a bit creepy.
It's a bit odd, isn't it?
Oh, that's a bit
It's a bit dark. Yeah, so that's why kind of Thora Birch.
Don't read into my words, but it's put a sour, taste in my mouth, to be honest. In that sort
yeah. So
that's made me look at that whole.
That's horrible. Yeah, I don't like that at all, Rob. You've ruined it.
Sorry.
What a fact to come out with so early in this podcast.
Either way,
I need a cold shower. I don't know about you, Dave, but you can join, man.
That's why.
Okay, calm down, yeah.
I'm just joking.
Either way, that's mainly the reason why she was cast in American Beauty. I think was she had her father's permission to get naked on that film and all that kind of stuff. So Ghost World is kind of far away from that. There's nothing like sexual in Ghost World other than implicate there's the insinuation.
Yeah, it's only implicated that she has.
So I think
relationship.
Her father was a bit further away from this film.
Well, the sex scene is only implied.
It's
It doesn't show us anything.
They wake up next to each other.
Yeah. I just got drunk. You don't know.
Yeah.
Her dad probably does so, doesn't it? So anyway,
God.
So the plot. I don't really have any quarrels with the plot. I mean, it's quite straightforward. I mean,
it's pretty much
two teenage girls finish high school. One is such a cynical view of the world, and she doesn't really know what to do.
That's what brings them together, though. They've both got this kind of cynical look at the world, but Scarlett Johansson's character, she does, but at the same time, she's in work.
She's more modernised, and she can get on with
breaking away from it.
Basically, what I saw the plot as was two friends that finish high school, and their friendship slowly dies.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't think it dies. I think it breaks apart.
I think it dies.
I think it's kind of a natural kind of like, because it happens a lot with people, and there's a lot of your friends in high school, you're probably not going to be friends with the rest of your life.
I'm still friends with some of my friends.
Yeah, I mean, I can say the same thing, but a lot of people will say that like your best friends in high school aren't going to be your best friends for life necessarily.
Well, they say the university friends are even the best friends in life, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't gonna hang
look
out
how that's going. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hang out with you guys.
I do like. I think Thora Birch and Scarlett Johansson in the film are a really good partnership, and the chemistry is really powerful.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd buy that in real life. I think the two worlds apart in real life. And say if the film was grounded in our reality, I don't think the two would be friends.
I don't think it is though. Like there's a lot of kind of like very funny skits in it which separate itself from real life, don't they? Really?
Yeah. I think I would have liked them two to be better if they were sisters in the film.
Oh, actually, yeah.
Because I thought the chemistry. Because also, I don't like the fact that it's not negative, but Scarlett Johansson just sort of like in the second and third act just disappears and then
she's kind of only there for the plot device and not necessarily.
Yeah, I think she's really underused in it because she does add that little bit of comedy, especially in the coffee store where Thora Birch dresses up, and that's really funny scene.
Yeah, it's really good. The guy with the laptop.
I mean, overall, I really like the plot. I mean, it's quite funny. I mean, at times.
Would you say there's a bit more of a deeper element in it than like trying to talk about art? Because you've got the art
on the surface, I wouldn't say, but if you look deeper into it, the fact that the subplot with the father's ex-girlfriend coming back in and they're going to get married now, that's pointless. It added nothing to Thora Birch's character except for her wanting to go and then find someone else, which ends up to be Buscemi, which is obviously a plot device to then create. The third act. I did like the art aspect. I like the fact that she was actually one in their class where she made art and
she was very actively like, oh, here's my diary, here's something I do all the time.
Yeah.
And this person who just makes some coat hangers and says, this is something about female.
I mean, it just really annoyed me. I don't know about you, Dave, but it just really annoyed me that like that art aspect just dies. Like
Yeah, I see what you mean.
That's really annoying. I do like that. It's sort of like a dig at art as well.
High art and slow
Yeah,
art.
it was like she was showing her diary and it was like really good, like drawings and stuff. And I was there like, they're gonna like this.
Snapshots of life. Like,
and they were like, no, this is rubbish. But this, look at this, and it's like a coat hanger which has been moulded together with another coat hanger, and that was considered like really good art.
Yeah.
I guess the kind of dream kind of ending to that film is she goes to art school and she like does that.
Well, I thought that was going to be the way forward. I mean,
it was interesting. It wasn't as well.
Is that an art approach though? Do you think overall?
What an artistic approach is in him saying the writer kind of saying that's not always rosy daisy, that kind of thing. You mean?
Well, I mean, is it just vanity at the end of the day? Is he doing that to send a message, or would that character actually do it? Because in my opinion,
I wouldn't be surprised honestly, because the actual writer himself, this film's based on a graphic novel, which
also, not to interrupt, but I found that fascinating when I read up about this film, because when like for example Frank Miller and Robert Rodriguez's Sin Sitter, when we watch these two films, they're obviously a graphic novel.
Yeah.
But then when you look at stuff like The Loser with Idris Elba, Dave's favourite actor, and Chris Evans, it's like quite a small film that feels like a graphic novel. This to me was so grounded. I actually liked that. I didn't have to go into the secondary like context of it, like and see something else to describe elements to me.
Well, it was written by the same guy, wasn't it? Or co-written anyway. The same guy who wrote the graphic
novel. So it's adapted
then. It's adapted, yeah. I think Steve Buscemi's character was actually added into the film and wasn't actually in the graphic novel either. I think the graphic novel...
Yeah, I looked this up as well. I don't think he was in it. I think the graphic novel was more about the love story between the two girls and whatever that other guy's name is. Josh, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that was it. I don't know. I can't remember.
I almost wonder like how this like kind of device with her being very interested in drawing cartoons and stuff, whether that's kind of something he's put out from himself. And there's him saying he can't be people that appreciate his art as a graphic novelist because it's very it's kind of like more like to the point, isn't it? And who's to decide, that kind of thing.
I think there's like a very small hint of irony in the film.
Yeah.
Thank God they put Steve Buscemi in it, because in my opinion, I think the first 10-15 minutes of the film, when they see the ad in the paper and Thora Birch's character decides to prank this guy or make fun of this guy for reading in the newspaper, that nearly lost me completely.
Really?
I thought it was such a cruel thing, because obviously
I think that's what they probably tried to do, isn't it?
Yeah, I think obviously I knew that the person who was going to put the ad in the paper was Buscemi's character, and I love Steve Buscemi. He's like a spirit animal. Like, he just can do no wrong in a film. He's such like a lovable person in real life.
He's so sympathetic in this film.
Yeah. So when he came into the bar, so the diner, and he was sat down, and I was like, they don't do this, because it's going to piss me off. It's going to alienate me from your development in the film. And then obviously Thora Birch's character sort of has this change of hearts, let's say. And I don't think it's done really well. I think going to the record thing it's a nice little plot device, a nice little like character development for both.
How she's like always, like how she's always switching between like music she likes as well, like put the kind of punk thing that she does at one point, and then when she meets Steve Buscemi, she comes with those like Elton John-esque kind of like classics.
I think this film's also about identity. There's a big theme about identity. I mean, characters. I do like I was saying, get the point of characters like we were just talking about there with Thora Birch and Sally Hansen. I don't really identify with them. I mean,
I suppose we are guys though.
But then again, we have just left.
I didn't really identify with that Josh. What was his name again?
Josh.
Yeah, Josh.
The guy.
Yeah.
I don't identify with him either.
Yeah.
Seemed like a bit of a pushover.
Well, we it's not recent. I mean, 4 years ago I left high school. Now, I didn't really identify with them. I mean, it goes too quick at life like that. Like, we look back and it was like that when we left, I didn't know what I was going to do in my life. I knew I wanted to do something in film. I didn't know. Yeah. I mean, speak for yourselves. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do.
I just went straight to college.
Yeah, well, same. I think that's what I did.
What I identified most about it as well was like they all had these like set things in their mind, but then when it actually came to it, they didn't really have anything in their mind that they wanted to do. Like,
probably for many people out there, to be honest.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that probably you can identify with. That when you leave high school, I don't call it high school because I'm not American. Secondary school.
Yeah, high school.
Secondary school.
It's high school.
Yeah, you have college afterwards, don't you?
I'm in the middle of my story. When I leave secondary school, I didn't know what to do. I knew that I had to go into college because it was still the law. You had to go into education. I don't think it is anymore. But
no, it is. It's the other way around. You have to go into sixth form now.
Do you?
Yeah.
Is that really? Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that is.
I thought you had to leave. You can leave
our year was the last year you could do that. You have to go into higher education now.
But like, there's people that didn't go to college. They went straight into like jobs and got like moved in with their missus and now they've got babies and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and that frightens me to death about that.
Yeah,
because I'm still at uni and stuff, and I've no idea still what I want to do when I leave university. But I had no idea what I wanted to do when I left secondary school, apart from just go straight to college.
I mean, so out of all four main characters, because we'll have Josh as a main character.
Yeah, I guess
he's
so,
the point, but we'll call him the main character. Out of all four of them, who would you identify with the most out of four characters?
Buscemi.
I would agree. I think Buscemi's there. But is that because is that because of Buscemi or the character? Because for me, it's Buscemi.
It's Buscemi, yeah.
I think for me it's Thora Birch, but that's mainly because of my
Really?
my personal kind of thing. I've never really fit into.
You
it,
ever
like,
dyed your hair green?
No. I identify her in a way that she's dotting around from different places.
Always
She's never finding herself, and that's what I kind of identify with when I was in secondary school. I could never find myself personally.
I like that though. I like that you identify with that because it's I don't think there's anything wrong with being unique.
No,
we're all as soon as we're born, we're always and in primary schools, the fact we're always uttered into our schools. We're all unique. You're all unique, and the fact that she's not identified who she is yet, I think it's quite a nice thing because. Later on in the end, obviously, we'll get to that later. But I think she's not stuck in the mud. You know what I mean? She's like Pink Floyd uttered the immortal word. She's not another brick in the wall.
I think what's very interesting as well, that kind of element of a character where she looks at people who do kind of odd things, and she's like, "Oh, what a weirdo!" Like,
she's the weirdo herself.
She's not grounded herself. Like I remember when I was in secondary school, I would look at kind of videos of like cringe humour and stuff like that. Like where you see like these kind of like weirdos on YouTube who like.
Sorry, what's cringe humour for the people that don't know?
Cringe humour is basically like if you watch the X Factor, if you've watched the X Factor in the past, they'll always have like these kind of bad acts, and they always come into it. They're like, this really brilliant singer. I've been training for years, and then they'll sing and they're absolutely god awful. And there's lots of kind of videos like that which are really popular, and the reason they even put them in is because it's kind of like you laugh at it and you laugh at it because it makes you feel awkward as a person in looking at it. And what's interesting about cringe humour is a lot of the people who are interested in it, myself included, they'll kind of look at it for their own self-validation in that, this guy's kind of weird because he's got this different perception on reality to what I have. So therefore, this makes me better because I'm not him. So that's kind of what I was getting at with like how Thora Birch's character uses these kind of weirdos and strangers as a kind of self-validation of her own character, and that even though she's kind of very flawed herself in that, she's not found her place. She's always switching her look, and I don't think she actually wears the same kind of colour shirt in the entire film. I couldn't confirm that. She's always changing like coloured.
Well, she
wears
the same shirt twice, doesn't she? She wears I can't remember what kind of shirt she wears. I think it's it looks like a Jaws shirt, but I don't think it is a Jaws shirt.
I mean, the fact that when she tries to do the garage sale and you can't get rid of anything, because it means so much to you, she doesn't use her. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate your honesty there because it's an interesting look at how you identify with character. Because when Thora Birch has the conversation heart to heart with Scarlett Johansson, if you'd say, about the moving in situation, Thora Birch cannot understand why Scarlett Johansson would want to do that, because in her mind, that's a no-no. She wants to, she's back against the wall. She'll just kick out against society. So when Thora Birch has been told by Scarlett Johansson that she's gonna go move into a house of someone and get a job, I mean, the fact that Thora Birch can't handle that is a really interesting thing, because at that moment in time for the character, I wouldn't necessarily understand what Thora Birch would ever think of. And obviously she wants to get an apartment with Scarlett Johansson, that character, her best friend, and obviously that opportunity's gone now because the point I've just made. It's very interesting how Thora Birch then just immediately, Steve Buscemi, let's get an apartment, oh, let's run away. Yeah. It's how she's so safe in society at one point, and then at the moment, at the short notice of a friend saying something, she just jumps the ship straight away. I mean, I'm never really. So I can identify with that a little bit because but I think that's how teenage angst comes into it.
It is kind of a coming of agey kind of film. It's not like necessarily completely coming of age in its kind of context because there's a bit of comedy in there and all that kind of stuff. It's not. Yeah. It kind of crosses over a few different genres, but that is very interesting how she kind of develops herself as a character. And
well, she did it. It was very quick. That's what I was trying to get at. She's very quick at how she does it. Yeah. I mean, you can see loads of parallels with Thora Birch's previous work, American Beauty, and that character. Yeah, definitely. In that, it's ultimately the middle finger against the society and against these people who are telling you need to do this and you need to do that.
You see them in in the graduation, and they're kind of looking at everybody and saying,
And
"Oh,
laughing,
look at them going on with society, going to college." And
middle fingers up against the thing when they leave.
And look at us, we're getting an apartment together, and we're gonna live happily ever after.
And then it doesn't.
It all collapses.
Yeah, it's an interesting look because like Dave said earlier about people going into apartments with their girlfriends and their boyfriends and having children at such a young early age. I mean, is that the path that people want to go down, or is that the path that you sort of have to go down for your life? It's a very it's an unanswerable question because it's a fate or destiny, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I just find that the sort of dynamics is just a bit quick there, though. How she jumps, she takes it very difficult, but then again, she's all this emotion is built up, as she states in the film. You know, when she knocks on Buscemi's door late at night, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Can you just not be mean to me for 1 minute, and I'll go."
What do you think about Steve Buscemi's character, Dan? Especially, I'm more saying this about when he's very comfortable with being walked over by when he gets a new girlfriend when she calls back.
Yeah.
And he's very comfortable with kind of like just going with that and having this kind of relationship. And then kind of Thora Birch comes back in and he's like, "Actually, do I need to do this or not?"
Yeah.
What's your kind of thoughts on that?
I think that's another like little tiny hint of irony. I mean, he gets walked over all the film, and then when Thora Birch tells him, "Answer the phone, listen to the phone call," and he doesn't want to because deep down he probably does.
He probably knows it's going to happen. Yeah.
No, he probably likes Thora Birch's character. He probably knows that she might be the one for him, but I don't think she's sort of come to that terms yet because obviously he's an older man. I think that at that point his sort of personality changes. I mean, pushovers in film are annoying for everyone's character. Because the audience get on with it, come on. But then again, it makes more of a dynamic between the audience and the character itself.
Definitely.
It's to me. I read an interview a few days ago, to prepare for this, and Buscemi, the director, is it Terry?
Terry Zwigoff, yeah.
Terry Zwigoff stated that after every day of a take, where they would stop filming for the day, Steve Buscemi would rip the clothes off and get out of the character because he hated him. Yeah. And I think that's portrayed really well in the film. I think Buscemi's
he seemed disgusted with himself.
Yeah. I mean, especially when his roommate walks in, he's trying to ring Thora Birch before the end. Yeah. And his room is watching TV, and his mate, farts in the room, and he's just so depressed with himself because he's had the opportunity right in front of his face. Yeah. And he's missed it.
So you see Steve Buscemi's character in this, and he has quite a background with comedy films like Adam Sandler, but you don't see this with Scarlett Johansson. What do you guys feel about the comedy in the film?
From the two female
female protagonists.
I think like Rob said earlier on about summing them characters up, they make their own comedy laughing at others, don't they? Yeah. They find relief in the fact that they're not really normal, but they make fun of people who are not normal to then feel normal. Comedy elements, I think it's very few, isn't it? With them
there is some very very funny moments in the film. I think it's more about situations they're put in which are funny, rather than them being funny themselves.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that these Scarlett Johansson and Thora Birch are laughable, but then again, the Big Lebowski. I mean, is Walter really that funny? No, his character's not, but the dynamics that he's in is so funny.
Well, with this, I think they laugh at their own jokes a lot more than we're supposed to be laughing at theirs.
I mean, Buscemi's. There's one scene which Rob and me love, and that is the scene where Steve Buscemi goes ape shit at Brad's workplace. Yeah, at the garage. Josh. So it's Brad. That's his name.
Yeah, Brad. Yeah,
actor. I love that scene. I love it. That made me laugh out loud when I saw it.
And there's the after credits version of it as well.
Yeah, where he kicks. There's one thing we haven't talked about, and that's the nutter with the six pack with the
he's hilarious.
I didn't even know he was in the film, and he's so funny in it.
Yeah. Who is it that plays it?
I don't know. I thought
just some nutter.
Yeah,
it's just some guy on set.
It always seems like some just redneck walked into the set and says, "Can I be in the film?" Like, yeah, fuck it, just walk into this.
No, I think it'd be funny if it was literally just a nutter, and when every time they were saying go. Go, they were actually telling him to leave the set.
Yeah, I mean, it's I was always in the shop. The actual shop owner wasn't actually a shop owner; he was actually the set assistant director or something. Like, get up, get out of the shop.
It's sort of the Ken Loach approach. Ken Loach approach, where you have a scene of just normality, and then you just throw in a bull. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's a sort of element where it could be like, there's a scene when he first goes into the shop, and then we introduce him. He's outside with a nunchuck. I just think there's like, it's just out of nowhere.
It's like Mac, isn't it? But in
Mac
wants to be.
So it alleviates all the drama out of the scene. But the Steve Buscemi scenes is amazing when he's trying to get the trying to throw down the aisle. That's so fun, and he can't do it. And then he's like, he's choking him, and then he pulls the gun out. The shop owner, of course, and then Steve Buscemi just goes off on one. I really do like that. I think there's very few. It's very few and in between. That's the problem.
There's some. I like the art scenes in the art art class. They're annoying.
I didn't find them funny.
They're annoying, but there is some funny bits in it.
The only thing I found that was quite funny about that scene was coming from the film students in us.
Yeah.
That when she showed her first thing, and it was literally just like a doll in a bathtub or something like that, and she went like, "Yeah, that's a really deep piece."
That's cool.
That just reminded me of everyone.
Yeah, a very Falmouth-esque vibe. I mean, it's the
even,
tampon in the teapot.
Even that as well.
Describe it. It's for women rights. It's like it is a very like harsh and criticised view on art.
It's interesting though.
I didn't find them elements funny.
There's one.
I think they were more satire. You laugh it inside your head. It's not a laugh at moment.
Yeah, I
sort of an in-joke,
I wouldn't even say I even laughed at much in the film.
I didn't laugh at much.
There's one in-joke that I really liked in the video store when a guy asks for 8.5.
Oh, the
Federico
Fellini film. That's quite good. Yeah,
that's quite good. And then he asks for 8.5, and then he goes, "I've got 9.5 weeks starring Mickey Rourke."
Yeah, it's in the erotic section.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna shit on the film or anything, but I think that point there is the fact that we didn't bring it up and we watched it today. I think it's quite a forgettable film in some aspects.
I agree there. Yeah, I wouldn't say I loved it. I wouldn't say I disliked it. I hated it, but I wouldn't. I did it. I did it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only noticed the moments where I disliked it. I mean, the video store. That's a really funny scene.
It's a really funny scene.
The desk clerk is really funny. I mean, the guy with the nunchucks in the
it's a film full of characters, but not necessarily enough.
It's moments, isn't it? It's moments.
I think this is what we need to get to. Really, is that the ending is what kind of let it down in some ways.
Wow! So you were going for a negative approach to the ending.
I think it's like ambiguous to the point where it doesn't need to be.
I agree. Okay.
Like, I think there needed to be some clarity behind what she's going to do and where she's going to go. I think my interpretation of her getting on a bus, which is what happens, because obviously they've got the guy waiting on the bench and they keep coming back to him and he's like, "You don't know what you're talking about. I'm waiting for this bus."
Not to interrupt, but I mean, for anyone who's got brain cells and watching that film, everybody knows that scene is going to come to something. Yeah. And I think we all knew what was going to happen, that the bus was going to come. It was going to be some sort of visual metaphor for something. Go on, sorry.
Initially, I kind of thought, is she committing suicide? Because like the guy getting the bus, which you know isn't going to be coming in real life because it's out of service, like she said. Mm-hmm. It's almost like seemed like a metaphor for me when he got on the bus that he's gone off and he's died, because he's finally got the bus, he's taken on the journey, he's needed to go somewhere. And while it didn't exist, this bus, it's like metaphorically he's getting on this bus and he's going on to this, he's moving on. And I almost wondered with Thora Birch's character whether she was committing suicide. And I've kind of thought about it from a different perspective, in his life and his death. So while he's dying, Thora Birch is moving on in her life and she's going on to better things and better pastures. But I think there's so many different interpretations to it. I kind of thought about that and I thought, well, it's a bit ambiguous again. I'm not really sure if that's what it is.
I mean, your latter approach to that thinking is probably the way I would have thought. Like, I thought that it was a visual metaphor for her going a step beyond. She's going to go to that town. She's going to find a different approach to life.
There's nothing else for her in that town.
I mean, it isn't. It's over now. The Buscemi dynamic wouldn't have worked. She's lost her relationship with her father because of the girlfriend. She lost her relationship with Scarlett Johansson's character because she's moved on. Yeah. I think it was just the approach of getting the bus and going. It's like, when she's catching the bus, I think it's a metaphor for her
just moving on.
Yeah, just moving on. I can see the death implications in it, but I don't know. Is it that dark of a film? There's
nothing to imply that. That's why I kind of thought straight away, she's not dying.
That's where it's interesting for Dave's approach here, because me and Dave talked about it earlier today.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit.
And Dave's got a very interesting sort of theory of his ending.
Mine was pretty much what Rob said, though, wasn't it?
No, you thought she died.
I said that I said there was two ways you can interpret it. I interpreted that she committed suicide,
which is plausible.
Which I thought initially, and kind of
And then the other part was that the bus is a metaphor for, again, what Rob said, life moving on. So the old guy died. So the bus took him away and moved him on. And what I saw was that the bus took her from being that sort of what she's been all the film to more of like the Scarlett Johansson's character, where she's going to get a job and all that. She's grown up because when she's packing her bag and stuff, I can't remember what she like looks at her toy, doesn't she, and she like puts it in a box, something like that. So that's her moving on, isn't it? Because she packs her bag and she's only taken what grown-ups would take.
I could only have thought, though, if she was going to commit suicide, she would write a letter to Scarlett Johansson's character. And even then, to sort of contradict my own point, if she was going to just move on, I think, wouldn't it have been better for her to stay in her own state or her own town?
No, what I'm saying is the bus is a metaphor, mate.
No, I know that.
I'm not saying that she actually got on a bus, because that bus was out of service.
Yeah, I'm just saying that. I know it's a visual metaphor, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if that is a metaphor for her moving on to a different town, or her going out of her comfort zone and then moving on, I find it very hard to believe that why she wouldn't stay there, because she still had a relationship with her father and Scarlett Johansson and Steve Buscemi. So it's very difficult to believe. I can only go to the conclusion that she left because she'd done it. High school was over. She had nothing there anymore.
That's what I think. I think there's nothing there for her in that town.
But why would she take the art scholarship then?
Well, she couldn't because it's
No, but she was never going to do it in the first place.
Well, she was going to take it because there was things that were happening, which meant, I'll take that now and then. And then she realised, no, can't, because they think I'm racist.
I think it's very vanity over an artistic approach. I think her just waiting there and then
it almost seems like a cynical kind of view from the writer, doesn't it?
So the only reason I thought that she killed herself was that because Steve Buscemi was in therapy. He was going like, I think I'm finally getting over what's happening in my life.
That's an interesting.
And then when I saw it, I was like, it's just because of the mental breakdown he had. But then when his mum came to the door and was like, what do you want for dinner tonight? It clearly means he's moved back in with his mum because he's mentally unstable. Because I thought that character had killed herself. Because he was clearly like, he clearly did stuff, because he went to that store and he tried to rip down that thing. He threatened that Josh guy and all that, and he was ended up in hospital.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting approach, as well as that, she did cause a lot of stress in his life. And the mental thing he had, I can see that. Because it is quite out of the blue, that therapist. It's very out of the blue. It's not in any way stated beforehand.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a very forgettable film, in my opinion. I can understand the cult approach to it.
I quite like it. It's very quirky. It's my kind of like quirk as well.
I wouldn't watch it again. I don't think it's got anything for me to go back into. It hasn't got. I mean, like you said, if you compare it to The Big Lebowski, I mean,
you can't compare those two.
Yeah, films. I think that's a bit far fetched, isn't it?
I compare it because it's my kind of film rather than it being something that everyone should enjoy in the same level.
I mean, it interests me a lot about if Buscemi's character was adapted for the screen. It was written in for the movie.
Yeah,
I would be interested to read.
I'd be interested
parts of the comic book or the graphic novel, and to just see how that dynamic works. Because I think without Buscemi in that, not to go back to the character or plot or anything, but it doesn't. I don't know how it would move. I don't know how it would move on. Would they just be cynical everywhere? Be evil?
So you're saying without the implementing Steve Buscemi's character, what the film would be?
It would be very poor. They wouldn't do anything.
Well, no, but I think the graphic novel, like I said earlier, was about the two girls' love triangle. They wouldn't.
Oh, with Brad, yeah. Oh, Josh, sorry.
Yeah, that's the name of the actor.
Yeah, well, I mean, the actor has actually unfortunately passed away.
When was that? Was that?
It was a few years ago. Actually, he was in a film called Bully, if you've ever seen, which is a really good film.
Okay.
Not many people have actually seen that. A really good film.
Who else is in it?
It has. I know who it has in it. It has Adelina Douglas, who was in Cape Fear. She's only in it for a few minutes.
Cape Fear.
Yeah, and it has Bob Balaban, who was in quite a few Wes Anderson. Well, he still is in quite a few Wes Anderson. He's recently is Moonrise Kingdom and Grand Budapest Hotel. The guy's called Brad Renfro. Yeah, and he died from I think it was heroin. It's a really poor story because heroin overdose. Was going to be one of the biggest actors at one point. I mean, he was in Apt Pupil, the Bryan Singer film with Ian McKellen, where the teacher's a Nazi.
Okay.
It's another awful look into Hollywood, as he's 25 when he died. Of his self-inflicting heroin overdose. It's very sad to see. I mean, you look at his filmography. It's not stellar, but there's an actor there that could have developed into something.
That's a shame, isn't it?
I mean, they're all really young in it. I mean, if you look at the three young leads, you've got Brad Renfro, Scarlett Johansson, Thora Birch. I mean, only one of them has gone to big, powerful things. I mean, Scarlett Johansson is a powerhouse in Hollywood now as a female, and all right to her, because the amount of shit that females get in Hollywood. I mean, 4% of women directors. are directors. 18% of the industry is women.
It's terrible, isn't it?
I mean, it's horrific. I mean, so the strides that Scarlett Johansson has done. I mean, I don't think anyone at that point would have said that woman's going to be, Black Widow, or that woman's going to be in a Luc Besson film,
or she's going to be, Mindy and SpongeBob.
Yeah, she's going to be huge. No one knew that. Thora Birch is unfortunate to hear.
That is really unfortunate, isn't it? Like,
because I think
there's two kind of contrasting kind of paths from the two.
Yeah,
two actresses,
I don't mean this to be naive or anything, but when I watched the film, I do. Scarlett Johansson in that film just seems bored, and that's her character. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So she quite alienated me in that aspect, whereas Thora Birch was quite open with her sort of acting and the dynamic there that she did. So
I think Thora Birch's character was a bit more interesting than Scarlett Johansson's, though.
Yeah, well, it is Thora Birch's story, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was part of the plot as well, though, that she was boring, because she was the one that grown up first, wasn't she? She was the one that got a job, and she was saying, I think it showed that what you do when you leave high school is you just get boring.
I mean, she hasn't. Thora Birch, unfortunately, hasn't done a lot. I mean, the last thing she did big was this year. She was in the TV series The Colony, and she starred in Patriot Games, the Tom Clancy novel thing with Harrison Ford, which never really did anything, did they? With Jack Ryan, that sort of shit.
So outside of Scarlett Johansson and Steve Buscemi, no one really did anything in this film after this. Apart from there's that one guy who chats them up in the party, who's in Arrested Development.
Is it?
Yeah, guy with sideburns. He's in Arrested Development.
Oh, David Cross.
Yeah, David Cross.
Yeah, I think he's quite funny in that. It'd be like for 3 seconds. It's unfortunate again. Like there's, like you said, it's just a film with moments. It's not a coherent film yet to me.
To be fair, though, I think that's when he was in this. Arrested Development hadn't started.
Well, Arrested Development was 2003.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the things he'd done,
they
came after.
He did have a. Interesting enough, he did have a comedy show. With Bob Odenkirk, who played. Better Call Saul.
No, I can't remember what that comedy show's called.
It's just got an adapt. It's just been not rebooted, but it's been given an order series on Netflix.
Decent.
It's good. It's a very good show.
Like you said, it's interesting to see, because this film, I wouldn't expect anyone in this film to be like huge. Yeah. But it's it's almost 2 hours long as well. I mean, it did drag.
It did drag on a little bit.
It did drag. I must say, I did love the colour in it. The colour is beautiful. It's really filmed like in almost like, I'd love to know what camera it was filmed on, lenses, and so it's gorgeously shot. I mean, the colour, it just pops all the time. So it got an average Metascore critic of 88 out of 100.
Really?
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes 92%.
That's
bloody hell.
Yeah, well, I mean, John Wick got 88%. So I mean, at the end of the
day,
I really like John Wick. Don't shit on Keanu Reeves. Love Keanu Reeves. I mean, I wouldn't, if I went back in time and if I watched it in the moment, would I have liked it? I'd have been too young. It's just one of the
I don't think you would have got it if you were that young, though.
I don't know. I think that if it's just it came out at that point in our lives where we were too young and now we're too old.
In terms of negatives, then. What would you say? Like,
I'll just sum it up really quick because I'm going for a while. It's a film of moments. There's 4-minute, 5-minute like sequences in it that I really enjoy. That is played out into a 2-hour film. Steve Buscemi I really enjoyed. I felt quite alienated with the characters, not because they were female, not because they were just quite high school, just because they had such a cynical approach to life. They didn't really do anything in the film. They were quite cruel at the start. Josh, the character, like Dave says, just bored me. Didn't do anything. There was just little tiny characters in it that. Yeah.
Well, I think Jack summed it up pretty well. I would say, like, as a whole, I didn't like it because it was just so boring to watch. It was nothing huge in it. It was just so, like, that Steve Buscemi part, the diner, really annoyed me. It was just so horrible.
Puts it down on the rest of the film, I guess.
It's something that like teenage girls would do to me, probably, at some point in my life.
Yeah, that was so close on the toes of just making me think I don't like these two. It was so close to just
it's too early in the morning as well to drop it's too early in that film to drop that in, because they're trying to make you relate to these people, but they do that.
I think personally I took it as, you're meant to hate these characters, you're meant to think they should. If you're gonna...
This film is Oscar nominated for Best Writing Screenplay based on material previously produced or published.
It's a nice little interruption, mate. Rob, continue.
Oscar nomination
for best adaptation, though.
Oh, actually, it was the first film
I hate that
ever
Oscar.
to be Oscar nominated as in that sort of category.
I hate that Oscar as well.
That's interesting.
Best adapted screenplay. Or was that an Academy Award?
That's an Academy Award.
I hate that Academy Award.
Well,
It just promotes reboots and remakes.
I'll just counter your offer there. Paul Thomas Anderson, my favourite director, one of three, Martin Scorsese and Kubrick, Paul Thomas Anderson we'll talk about now. He made a film, There Will Be Blood, which I'm sure you've both seen, and we will be talking about that in a podcast, I'm sure.
There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be Blood. I mean, he got the book and typed it all out on his computer and adapted it from there. So
That's interesting.
It's a very interesting approach how it's given. I mean, what did he really do? Did he just take elements out of it? Did he add more? It's a thin line. I mean, continue with what you're saying. But I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well, looking at what you're saying though, it's quite interesting because for this, it's adapted, but it's not really adapted because it's its own story.
Yeah,
But
so-
it still is adapted.
It's still adapted, but he's adapted it for the screen, and it's still his story. He's just making it into a film rather than it being.
I mean, if he adapts his own story as well.
Yeah, it's fair. It's quite. If he knows his story, then he knows where he wants to take it, and it's yeah. Anyway,
I mean, it's a budget of $7 million as well. It doesn't feel like $7 million.
$7 million budget, man.
Yeah, $7 million.
That does not
just
feel like a
positive,
$7 million budget.
I really enjoyed the soundtrack. I thought the Indian song at the beginning and the end of the credits, I really enjoyed. I like the blues element that Buscemi loved. I think that was a nice little trick to his character.
I think it alienated him as well from the way he alienated him away from the girl that he met in the bar as well, which is like, oh yeah, you should check out Blues Hammer. They're great, yeah. That kind of scene, I really like that scene.
Just showed the culture shock, didn't it? Really. Yeah,
and how Steve Buscemi, it really made me feel sympathy for his character there. Cause he's so intelligent, he's so into his blues, and here's this woman who's she might enjoy blues, yeah, but she doesn't know anything about it, and they've got this stuff. Even though they both like blues, he's got this like kind of expert knowledge on it, and there's still like this kind of wall in between them, and how Buscemi instantly kind of notices whilst he's talking that she just doesn't give a shit, really.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting to then go on to how it's. I would to sum the film up in my opinion. Not that we've already done it. I'm just saying that I think it's a birth film, isn't it? It's a film where people came into it and then came out of it into bigger things. I mean, Scarlett Johansson went on to do. I mean, it's only 2 years afterward that she did Lost in Translation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So she was 19 when she made Lost in Translation.
That surprises me.
That surprises me a lot. They then films look 10 years apart.
Yeah.
She still looks the same though, doesn't she? Really, face wise.
I mean, she's very pretty in real life. She's gorgeous. I mean, overall,
Calm down, yeah.
Well, she's a really attractive woman.
What kind of podcast are we getting at here?
I mean, so I think we should just conclude with what our thoughts were.
I'm not going to say it's a masterpiece. I do really enjoy it because it's my kind of film. It's quirky. Okay. I like the moments in it. I like that it's kind of you've got individual scenes in there which are absolutely brilliant. Even though there's like
very few.
I wouldn't say very few. I think
there's about 5 in a 2-hour film. Continue. I know what you mean.
I would argue against that, but either way, I think that the way that they kind of bring themselves together as like an overall kind of film, I really like. I just really like the film. I think it's a really good kind of comment on growing up, coming out of high school, that kind of like period in your life. I think it says everything that needs to be said about that period of your life, and there's plenty. And even Steve Buscemi's character as well, like the midlife kind of crisis, kind of how he's. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of interesting comments on different people and in like different kind of stereotypes of those people as well.
What about you, Dave?
I feel like it is a bit part film. I feel like there's some parts that are good, but there's some parts that are just ugh. I was watching it and I was only watching it so that we could discuss it. I was saying earlier to these guys, if we weren't doing this podcast, I would have shut off halfway through because it has some good moments. Don't get me wrong, but the rest of the time it's just boring. And I'm not saying that this isn't a good film. I think in the right circumstances, the right age, maybe the right demographic, it is a good film. Like if I watched it before I watched this, if I watched it before I was like 20 and at university, I probably would have appreciated it more. But that's because maybe, I don't know. But, meh. I wouldn't say it's a really bad film. I wouldn't say it's a good film.
So you're very indifferent then?
I'm very indifferent about it.
I mean, I can see that from you, especially because you're kind of taste in films is Guy Ritchie and Predator.
Like Predator, yeah.
Yeah, we're very contrasting in our film tastes. I think.
All right, okay, calm down. What are you saying? I'm not cultured.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that like.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking.
Well, it's interesting that you say you two clash because I'm gonna be the arsehole that'll play devil's advocate because I felt that I was in the middle. I agree with your points that it didn't hit my demographic. It didn't hit my age. It didn't hit anything that I usually would go to for a film. But then again, in your parts, I did like it. I don't think I'd watch it again anytime soon. God no.
Yeah.
It would take me about another maybe 2 or 3 years to even
recover. Yeah.
I mean, it is a film of a bit part. I mean, there's really nice elements in it. But then again, would I go watch it to watch some elements again? Probably not. I appreciate
maybe watch
it,
a couple of like individual scenes. Like
the Buscemi scene every day.
Oh yeah, Buscemi. If Buscemi wasn't in this scene, I would have not scene. If the Buscemi wasn't in this film, I'd have a lot of different things to say.
Yeah.
I agree. I'd be sat here swearing. I'd have to bleep it all out.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I did like it, but would I watch it again anytime soon? I mean, no.
So this is the end of our first episode of the podcast that we've chosen like the films for. So I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, this is as a film isn't as well known as some of the films we've done. So.
It's a nice approach that you did that though.
Yeah, I do like that.
I would like if you haven't seen the film when you've listened to this podcast, I would recommend you watch it just to get a bit more context to the podcast because I think that would help a lot of the interaction with you as an audience and us talking about it.
I'd say let us know as well how you feel. Do you agree with any of us? Do you have the same points as us? Let us know.
Yeah, tweet at our Twitter.
Tweet us, comment us, email us, fax us. Send a pigeon, we'll get it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd like to see people's opinions on it. I'd like to hear a woman's opinion on it. I'd like to hear a woman's opinion on it to see what it was like with a cynical approach. Maybe someone a bit younger than us as well. Maybe someone like 18.
Someone who's going through that process. You mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I'd be interested in that actually. Yeah, because it is one of those films where it talks about those kind of things.
Thank you for listening to episode 4 of the Moviebusters podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Listening to it as much as we watched, like watching the film. 3 very different opinions on the film. One neutral, one harsh, one positive. Remember to follow us on Twitter at the Moviebusters. Follow our individual pages as well for film updates.
Or that'll be in the YouTube description.
Yeah, and remember to subscribe and like the videos on YouTube. It just knows that we get some feedback on what you guys like. I mean, if you've got any negatives, please have some critical criticism of our approach. If you think we're missing something of the films, if you like another element, if you want to hear favourite scenes or something, don't feel free to definitely message us or just add a comment. Yeah. So we'll see you all next week. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much.
Bye.